Hey, I'm Jesse Hunt with Unofficial. We're a web design and digital marketing agency located in downtown Memphis. Since 2002, I've been helping Mid-South businesses just like yours improve their websites and find more customers on the internet. Today, I'm going to perform a video website audit on your website that'll show you some areas for improvement that might be hurting your business. The entire audit will take 15 to 20 minutes and should leave you substantially more informed about what's working and what's not working so well on your website. I hope you'll find the audit informative and that you'll keep me in mind if you ever need some help working on your existing website or building a new one. Thanks a lot for watching. Let's get started.
Hey Blake, so here we are on the homepage of your website, www.smithsmobilewelding.com, and what I want to do is take a few minutes, click through some of the pages on your website, make a few observations here, tell you what I'm seeing on the website, what I think's good, what I think could use some improvement, and from there we'll look at some of what Google has to say about your website. We'll look at how you're doing in some Google search engine results. We'll look at a few directory listings for your website and talk about some things on those. And then we'll come back to your website, look at a couple tools that I've got installed here on my computer to get a better understanding of what's happening behind the scenes from like a technical standpoint. Let me say before I get started, when I do these reviews, I find it's better to just be blatantly honest about what I see, so I don't ever intend to cause any offense or hurt any feelings, and so I hope that doesn't happen here, but these audits are much more useful if I'm just open and honest. So, all right, when I land on your website, the first thing I notice is... well, I don't really know. My eyes go all over the place here. I guess this image with the eagle with the American flag is probably the first thing I notice, but my eyes just kind of bounce around. I mean, I look at this welding, repair, and fab, Memphis. My eyes are drawn to this bright green down here and the eagle wing, and I think there's just a lot going on. I just kind of bounce around there. So... when I land on a website, I really like for there to be an obvious focal point, something that draws me in. I think if I were trying to come up with the perfect design for your website, some big pictures of your work that front and center that really draw me in and make me see what your capabilities are. Maybe even a video of somebody welding with sparks flying, and kind of set the scene for that the types of service that you offer. I think would do a better job of setting the scene there. Now let's talk about some things that I really like. I like that you've got a whole bunch of different social media sites listed up here in the header of your website. Google really likes that as well. Google likes it whenever you've got a lot of different social media profiles and you tie them all together with your website, so I definitely think that's a good thing. I like that you include contact information in your header. I like that you've got your phone number up here where it's easy to spot. One thing I might suggest that you do, I notice you got your phone number here and down here. You might include a call to action. So rather than just having a phone number, you might say, contact us now, or request a free quote, or something like that. Something that calls people to action rather than just putting a phone number there. The other thing I think you could do that might result in you getting more leads from your website is to incorporate some kind of contact form on the home page near the top of the page. Maybe it stays visible all the time, so maybe it's kind of sticky and it just stays right here, or stays at the bottom of the screen, or stays at the top of the screen, or something like that. But like a request a quote form, so you could just ask for like fields for name, phone number, email address, and a submit button or something like that with a strong call to action. Request a quote now or something like that. Yeah, I find that whenever you put forms like that on every page of your website, you make them highly visible, you end up getting more leads from the website. So it might be worth considering. As I scroll down the page, I find your text pretty hard to read. It's a white text on this multicolored background. Sometimes the background's really light, and then sometimes it's dark. And so I just find it hard to read the text. I would suggest having like a solid background behind your text, something that makes it a little easier to read the text. Also, things like this welding services button right here, you've got white text on kind of a light gray background. I can read it, but it's not the easiest thing to read in the world. So Beyond that, the font colors seem to jump. I don't exactly understand the fluorescent green text on a blue background. That's more of a preference thing, I guess, than anything else. I really like how you list all of your services here on this, the different types of welding that you do. So I think that's really good. My one objection to this, watch, I'm going to reduce the size of my browser window real quick, and I'm going to click on this, and I'm going to drag it. And see how I can drag that whole thing? So ordinarily you can highlight text. Like I can highlight, well, I thought I could highlight that, maybe not. Watch, I can highlight this text though. See I can highlight all that? When I come down here though, I can't highlight this because it's not really text. It's actually an image. In fact, I can drag it off on my desktop and see how it dropped an image right here, and I can open that up as an image. So that's not actually text. So all these keywords that you've got here, I mean, you're talking about mailbox repair and security bars and cast blocks, pipeline, aluminum, stainless, all these keywords that would be useful from the standpoint of people that are looking for welding. Those are all words that people might put into the search engines, but Google doesn't understand any of this because Google doesn't understand that there's text in this picture. Google just understands that there's a picture there. So I would encourage you to get all this text and actually add it as part of the website as text rather than just embedding a picture on the page. As I scroll down, you've got a good bit of text down here. Text is excellent. Google doesn't understand pictures. Google understands text. So the fact that you've got all this text on the home page is wonderful. I think that's great. My biggest feedback there is, again, just that it's really hard to read. It's a lot of text to read when it's white text on a light background or on a multicolor background. So putting a darker background behind it, I think, would really help. All right, down here you've got this map, and I see you've got points for all the different cities that you serve. I've actually never seen anybody do this exactly this way before, but I like it. I don't think it's bad. I think from a standpoint of letting Google know where all you serve, this is a pretty good way to do it. So good job there. So when I come back up to the top of the page, there's no obvious navigation to the website. It's not obvious where I need to go in order to get to the other pages on your website. Usually whenever I look at a website, there are obvious buttons across the top or, up here or down the side or something like that. Something that says home, about, services, and all your different sub pages and all that. So I've already played around on your website a little bit, and I figured out that it's this more button here, but I would be willing to bet that a lot of visitors don't ever figure that out. So I think maybe making your navigation more obvious would be a good thing. It would certainly help visitors to be able to find their way around better. But let's click through here and talk about some of these pages real quick. I'm not going to go to every one of these pages because you've got a lot of content, a lot of stuff to go through, and it'd take a long time to go through all of it. But again, I like the amount of text you've got on the page. This is all real text. I can highlight it. I think that's good. My biggest problem here, I think, is that as I scroll down the page, my eyes just don't know where to go. I mean, you got bullet points everywhere, talking about all kinds of different stuff, and it's just a lot to take in all at once. So organizing that a little better, making it easier to follow and easier to find what you're looking for would be really good. So you got more text down here. I mean, the text is good. You've got some really good things going on here, and you got some really confusing things going on. And I think, the abundance of different bullet points and stuff here is a little overwhelming. I think a lot of folks would find that overwhelming. My recommendation of how to fix that is to break this up into sub-pages. I mean, you've got heavy equipment construction welding, you've got trailer and RV welding, you've got automotive welding, apartment welding, residential welding, restaurant welding, marine welding. You could break each one of those up into a separate page and really get fine-tuned when it comes to search engine optimization, making you show up in the search engine rankings for all the different keywords that have to do with those things. So I think you could find a lot more search engine traffic just by breaking that out into separate pages, and it would make the pages easier to read. All right, next, let's see here. Mobile welding, Tennessee, Mississippi, Arkansas. Again, man, you got lots of text going on. I like the text. I find myself all the time telling people they need more text, and you've got lots of it. So in that regard, you're doing pretty well. These pages are also easier to read. See here, we've got dark text on a light background. I like that. But then you get down here and this text just becomes really crammed together. Welding in Tennessee, Memphis, Germantown, Collierville, Bartlett, Cordova, Covington. You got 3 columns and they're just kind of smushed together, and it's hard to read. So I think just an overall facelift on the website would go so far for making this website easier to use, easier to look at, easier to find what you're looking for, and that kind of thing. So, again, tons of text, man. I mean, you got some really good stuff going here. I just feel like it's kind of crammed together and hard to read. This page, I mean, for example, here, you get here, well, there's this comment box with a submit button, but what does that do? If I fill that out, what happens to that comment? Where does it go? And then down here, you've got email, name, first and last. I'm guessing that this should actually be part of this form up here, but it's broken, it seems. It's separated from all the rest of this, and seems confusing that this would be below the submit button. So I think that probably needs to be fixed. So yeah, that's kind of my overall review of the website. I think a lot of good things going. The text is great. The contact information being on every page is great. But I think overall the design could use some help. It needs to be freshened up, make it look new, make it look more professional, and just make it easier to read, better organized. All right, so next up here, what I've done, I Googled, I've got a couple tabs open with Google searches that I did. The first one, I searched Smith's Mobile Welding South Haven because I saw some stuff that indicated you were in South Haven. And I was really looking to see if Google had a listing for you, which they do. So here you've got a listing that shows your address as South Haven, Mississippi, with the phone number 626-1616. Let's make sure that's what's on your website. Yeah, that's the same number on your website, so that's good. Google likes to see that you have consistent contact information everywhere across the internet, so on your website, on your Google local listing, and then on other directories that link back to you. Interestingly, I never could find a physical address on your website. I think you should probably add one. I think that could help you with your Google rankings. Here they just show you're in South Haven. They don't show an address. Then I searched Smith's Mobile Welding Memphis. I found another local listing for you, which is pretty cool. It's not too often you can get one business accepted by Google in 2 different cities, so I like that you managed to get that done. This listing does not appear to be claimed, so it might be a good thing to claim this listing and do some optimization to it. But cool that you got 2 local listings there. I like that. All right, so now this is a Yelp page for your website. I found a link to it from your website or from somewhere earlier. I like that you've got it. I like that you've got reviews. I think that's good. This shows South Haven, Mississippi as your address. This Yellow Pages listing here, it actually shows 828 Parham Circle, South Haven. So I wonder if that's your actual address, and if so, if it's already out on the internet, I would encourage you to put it on all your other stuff. Put it on the website. Put it on your Google listing. Put it everywhere. I think that would help your Google rankings some. We'll look at your Google rankings in just a minute. You're not doing bad. Some of the searches I did, I found you on, and some of them I couldn't find you on. So this is your local listing. We've already kind of talked about this. I'm not going to dive too deep into that. Let's keep moving here. All right, so what this is a tool that Google provides to web developers. This is called the Mobile Friendly Test. And basically, Google wants to see that your website is mobile friendly, that it looks as good on a mobile device, so an iPhone or an Android device or a tablet, like an iPad, that it looks as good on those devices as it does on a computer, so a desktop computer or a laptop or whatever. As you can see here, Google says your website's not mobile friendly. I think that's a huge issue. Back in April of 2015, Google announced they were going to start showing preference to websites that are mobile friendly, and they kind of doubled down on that in April of 2016 by saying they were going to get even more aggressive with that. Of all the websites that I manage, and I manage a couple hundred websites, I see anywhere from 30 to 90% of the traffic that comes to them being from mobile devices, with the average probably being somewhere around 50%. So you're providing an experience to about half of your visitors that's not ideal, and it's probably hurting your rankings in the search engines when people are searching from mobile devices. So definitely think you need to fix the website to make it mobile friendly. Redesign it, make it mobile friendly. Google says your website's not mobile friendly because your content's wider than the screen and you've got links that are too close together. I can also tell by looking at this little preview here that your content runs off the screen there. So definitely have some things to fix there. I would highly encourage you to fix that. All right, next, what I try to do is put myself in the shoes of somebody that might be your customer. So I said, if I was looking for somebody that does what Blake does, what might I type into Google in order to find them? Assuming that I don't know of your company already. So the first thing I typed into Google was Welding, Memphis, TN. And as you can see, you're showing up here in this map result in the number 2 position. That's excellent. Good job there. I also found you about halfway down in the organic results. So number 1, 2, 3, 4, number 5 here would be great to see you in the number 1 spot here. Would also be great to see you in the number 1 spot instead of the number 2 spot here. And that's the kind of work that I do all day long. So I could probably help you to move up in those search results. But the fact that you're on the first page twice is definitely a good thing. Next up here, I searched industrial welding Memphis. This time you don't show up at all in the map results, and as I scroll down through here, you're not showing up at all on the first page here in these organic results either. So that's probably a missed opportunity. If you want more of that industrial welding business, then I'd recommend making some changes to try to better optimize for that. Next up, I searched marine welding Memphis. I saw you do boats and marine stuff. This time, Google doesn't show us a local result at all. And as I scroll down through here, it doesn't look like you're showing up at all in the search results on the first page for that particular search. So if you want more boats, more barge kind of business, any kind of marine welding, I think more optimization for that would certainly help. I did a few other searches as well, and I guess I accidentally closed them as I went along and was trying to get organized for this audit here. But I did find a number of keywords that you're showing up on the first page for. Some of them you're showing up really close to the top of the page, and other ones you're a pretty good ways down the page, but still on the first page. And I think I found some others as well where I couldn't find your listing at all. So suffice it to say, you're doing okay in the search results. You're getting some search traffic almost certainly, and you're showing up in some of these searches that I think people would use to look for somebody that does what you do. But then there are also a good number of searches that you're not showing up for where I think you could improve on. A couple more things I want to do real quick. So I'm gonna go back to your home page. We'll click there. That takes me to your home page, and then I got this little widget installed here on my computer. This is called the Google Tag Assistant. I just enabled it, and I'm gonna refresh my browser to make it load. And what this thing does is it scans your website looking for Google tags, and so it actually shows. I was hoping to find Google Analytics, and it shows that you do have Google Analytics installed, so that's excellent. I'm curious to know, do you ever look at your Google Analytics? Do you understand the data that's there? Google Analytics tells you good information about who's coming to your website, what they're looking at while they're there, how they're getting to your website, how long they're hanging around, what pages are they visiting on your site. It's really good information to be able to better understand how your website's working as a marketing tool and whether or not you're getting a good return on investment from your website. So I would strongly encourage you to review the analytics data if you're not already. And if you need some help understanding what all of it means or knowing which data you should be looking at within those reports, because there's a lot of information there, give me a buzz. I'll be glad to run through a report with you real quick and just kind of show you what you need to be looking at and what's important and what's not. One last thing I want to look at, and then I'll wrap this thing up for you. So this is one other little tool I've got installed here on my browser. This is called SEO Quake, and they've got a report that I just pulled here. This is called a page SEO audit, so page search engine optimization audit. It scans through the code on your website and gives me a real quick rundown on what's been done behind the scenes to make you show up in the search engines, or not. So I'm just going to hit the highlights here. First thing I look at is the title tag. Title tag shows up right here usually in Google results. So it's the title of your website, the link that Google displays. You can see here Google's showing Smith's Mobile Welding. If we come back over here, that's not actually your title tag though. The reason Google's showing Smith's Mobile Welding is because your title tag's too long. So you're missing out on an opportunity there to display a better title. Here, yours says Welding, Repair, and Fab, Memphis, TN, 24-hour service, TN, Mississippi, TN, MS, AR, Smith's Mobile Welding, Memphis. I like that you got some keywords in here, but you got too much of it. You got to reduce this down and focus in on just 1 or 2 keywords in the title tag. This title tag could be improved, and that would help with your search engine rankings. It would help you to get a better description of your website showing up there on Google. So I think your title tag could use some work. Next is made a description. So if we go back to Google here, so this text down here below your listing, so this is your title, obviously this is your website address, and then this right here is a description of your website, which is usually pulled from a made a description tag when one's available. So if I come back over here, yours, again, it's too long. It should be less than 200 characters, and yours is 255 characters. It says 24-hour certified mobile and shop welding company providing prompt on-site welding, repair, and fab to the Memphis TN area, including parts of Mississippi and Arkansas, welding of all types, commercial, residential, automotive, restaurant, RV, trailers, and Mo. I think that's supposed to say more, but I guess it got cut off. I think you're off to a good start there. I just think it needs to be boiled down some and reduced. The meta description should be a really compelling reason for people to click on your listing instead of somebody else in the search engine rankings. And you've got a good start here. Just boil it down and make it more succinct. Next up here, headings. So headings are usually big, bold sections of text that appear right above like paragraph text. It's exactly what it sounds like a heading should be. They range from H1 to H6 in terms of importance, with H1 being the most important heading and an H6 being the least important heading. H1s, H2s, and H3s are really important from a search engine standpoint. So include your keywords in the H1s, H2s, and H3s if you want to rank better in the search engines. Now what this tells us, you don't have any H1s or H3s, only H2s, and so that's a missed opportunity, definitely. And your H2s, some of them are good. The first one and the second one are really good H2s. The second, fourth, and fifth, not so good, but you need more heading tags, and they need to be optimized some. They suggest adding more text to your website. Man, you got lots of text. I don't think I agree with this report in that regard. Scroll down through here. The rest of this looks pretty good. It says you don't specify the language for your website. That's not a huge deal, but if you're going to fix the other stuff that I've talked about, go ahead and fix that as well. Your page does not utilize micro formats. So micro formats are a good way to tell Google what information is really important on the site. So you can use micro formats to say this information right here is my business name and this information right here is my phone number. There are other ways to tell Google that as well. I would recommend incorporating at least one of those into the website if you're going to fix the other stuff that I've talked about in this audit. So suffice it to say, I think you've got some really good things going on with your website, but you've also got some things that I think definitely need some work. I think number one thing is probably a redesign. Redesign the website. Make it look more modern, make it look more slick, make it show off your work better, and just organize the text so that it's not so all over the place, so that it's easier to read, easier to find what you're looking for, and just easier to figure out what you do, and easier on the eyes, easier to read. That's my biggest critique here, I think. So, Blake, I appreciate you taking the time to watch. My goal here is to be a resource for you. I want to earn your trust and ultimately earn your business. If you need some help redesigning your website, making changes to your website, doing search engine optimization, I'd love to talk to you about it. Give me a call. I'd love to hear your feedback on this audit video and hear whether or not this was helpful to you, whether or not this is something that I should continue doing, or whether this is just a waste of time. And just hear whether this information was something that you agree with, or whether you think I'm way off base. So if you would give me a call back on my cell phone after you've had a chance to watch the video. My cell phone number is 901-491-6490. Again, that's 901-491-6490. And I appreciate you taking the time to watch the video, and I look forward to talking to you real soon. Have a great day. Bye-bye.